Welcome. You've joined us for another deep dive. Today, we're laser focused on Chapter 6 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Think of this as your shortcut to understanding what's really going on with Victor Frankenstein right now and, well, the pivotal moments shaping his story. We've got the chapter itself, some background notes, and we're here to pull out the crucial insights for you.
That's right. This chapter is a real turning point for Victor. Physically, he's on the mend, but as we'll see, the internal scars are much deeper.
Right.
Elizabeth's letter, which kicks off the chapter, gives you a vital look back at the life he's left behind and, hints at what's waiting for him.
Okay, so let's dive straight into Elizabeth's letter. This is our first clear view of what life has been like in Geneva while Victor has been, well, consumed. What struck me immediately is just how much Elizabeth is worrying about him, about Victor, and how much affection shines through. She's been really anxious about his long illness, hasn't she?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can feel the weight of her concern right from the start. Even with Henry's frequent updates, she's still desperate for just one word directly from Victor to ease their fears.
Yeah.
It's touching how she mentions having to persuade their uncle not to undertake the difficult journey to Ingolstadt himself.
Yeah.
That really underscores the depth of their care for him.
And it's not just his health that's on her mind. The letter is full of family news. His father's well and yearning to see Victor. And then there's his brother Ernest, who at 16 sounds like a complete contrast to Victor in his younger days. What do you make of that contrast?
It's fascinating. Ernest is described as being full of activity and spirit, with a strong desire for a military career.
Right.
Their uncle isn't thrilled about this because Ernest isn't academically inclined. He much prefers outdoor pursuits like climbing and rowing. This immediately highlights a key theme: the different paths individuals can take and the differing expectations placed upon them. It makes you wonder about the pressures Victor himself might have felt,
Which leads perfectly into something Elizabeth writes about their home in Geneva. She talks about the unchanging beauty of the lake and mountains and how their placid home and our contented hearts are regulated by the same immutable laws. It's such a powerful image of stability, especially when you compare it to the chaos Victor has unleashed. What does that contrast tell you?
Well, that stability in Geneva serves as a powerful backdrop, almost a yardstick, against which you can measure the profound disruption Victor has caused. It emphasizes the normalcy of life continuing, a world Victor has essentially walked away from in his all-consuming pursuit. This unchanging picture really throws Victor's dramatic deviation into sharp relief.
Then the letter shifts to Justine Moritz, and her story is quite moving. She was orphaned and initially treated poorly by her mother, but was taken in by the Frankenstein family when she was 12, thanks to Victor's aunt.
Right.
Elizabeth makes a point of explaining the social context of servants in Geneva at the time. Why do you think she includes that detail?
That's a really insightful question. By including this detail, Elizabeth provides you with a glimpse into the social fabric of Geneva. She notes that in their republic, social distinctions are less pronounced, and servants like Justine are not as impoverished or looked down upon as in other countries.
Okay.
This paints a picture of a more integrated and humane society, which perhaps underscores the value of community and compassion values Victor has in his isolation, seemingly forgotten.
And Justine herself sounds like a wonderful person. Elizabeth mentions she was a favorite of Victor's and that even a glance from her could cheer him up.
Yeah.
She was deeply grateful to Victor's and even adopting her mannerisms, it really sounds like she found a loving home there with them. What does it tell you about the Frankenstein family?
It certainly paints a picture of a compassionate and caring family. Elizabeth's description of Justine's gratitude and her integration into their household highlights their inherent kindness. However, knowing what's to come, this also adds a layer of, tragic irony.
Oh, absolutely.
This loving environment will soon be touched by the darkness Victor has created.
We also get this absolutely charming update about young William. Blue eyes, dark eyelashes, dimples. He sounds like a picture. He even has his little wives, with Louisa Biron currently holding the top spot. It's such an innocent, joyful image of childhood, completely untouched by the horror Victor has brought into the world. What's the significance of including such sweet details?
Those innocent details about William serve as a stark and poignant contrast. They represent pure, unadulterated joy and the promise of life, everything that Victor's creation fundamentally threatens.
Right.
It underscores what Victor has to lose and the potential devastation his actions could inflict on this innocent world. It makes the stakes incredibly high, doesn't it?
Yeah, It really does. And then there's a bit of Geneva gossip marriages and misfortunes of acquaintances. It almost feels like Elizabeth is trying to pull Victor back into the everyday reality he's been absent from, reminding him that life, in all its mundane details, has continued on without his secret. Why include these seemingly trivial updates?
You're right, they might seem trivial, but they are actually quite important. This social news grounds the story in reality. It emphasizes the ongoing rhythm of life in Geneva, the weddings and misfortunes that are part of everyday existence.
Okay.
This normalcy further highlights Victor's isolation and the extraordinary, unnatural path he has chosen. It's a reminder of the human connections he has neglected.
Finally, the letter closes with Elizabeth's heartfelt plea for Victor to write. Her love and worry are so clear, it's obvious how much they miss him and how desperately they need reassurance from him. So, Victor reads this incredibly detailed and emotional letter. What's his immediate reaction?
His immediate response is a wave of relief, knowing that his family is well and thinking of him. He's determined to write back instantly to ease their anxieties.
Great.
However, the physical effort of writing even a short reply leaves him utterly exhausted. This underscores that while he's starting to recover physically, he's still very, very fragile.
But he does begin to heal after that, doesn't he? He eventually manages to leave his room. What are some of the first things he does, and how does he cope with returning to his academic life, the very place where his obsession took hold?
One of the first significant things he does is introduce Clerval to his university professors. It's in these interactions that you really see the deep psychological scars of his creation. Just being back in that academic environment, surrounded by the instruments and the intellectual atmosphere that fueled his work, is deeply disturbing for him.
It's more than just unsettling, though, isn't it? He develops this intense and violent aversion to natural philosophy. Even the sight of a chemical instrument triggers intense agony, bringing back the memories of that fatal night and what he now sees as the beginning of my misfortunes. It's a really powerful, visceral reaction.
Yeah.
What do you think is the root of this extreme antipathy?
It's a combination of factors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Primarily, it's the overwhelming guilt and trauma associated with this creation and its potential consequences. The instruments and the scientific principles themselves have become inextricably linked in his mind with that horrific event. It's a form of psychological aversion, where anything that reminds him of his actions triggers intense pain and regret.
Thankfully, he has Clerval by his side, who seems incredibly perceptive and supportive. He notices Victor's distress and actively tries to shield him from these triggers. What does Clerval's behavior tell you about their friendship?
Clerval's actions speak volumes about his loyalty and deep understanding of Victor. He sees Victor's suffering and instinctively tries to protect him, removing the physical reminders of his trauma and even suggesting they move to a different apartment.
Right.
This highlights the importance of genuine friendship and emotional support in navigating difficult times.
But Victor can't completely avoid his professors, can he? His encounters with Waldman and Krempe are particularly telling. Waldman, trying to be encouraging, praises Victor's past scientific achievements, completely oblivious to the horror Victor now associates with that work. How does Victor experience this praise?
Waldman's well-intentioned praise is like twisting a knife in an already deep wound. For Victor, his past scientific endeavors are now synonymous with his terrible secret.
Oh.
To hear them lauded, especially by a respected figure like Waldman, only intensifies his guilt and inner turmoil. It's a stark reminder of the chasm between his outward appearance and his inner reality.
And then there's Krempe, who is far less sensitive. His blunt and almost sarcastic remarks about Victor's rapid academic success, the jabs about him suddenly surpassing everyone despite his earlier interest in outdated theories, just seem to add another layer of discomfort for Victor. What's the effect of Krempe's insensitivity here?
Krempe's insensitive remarks, while perhaps meant to be humorous or even a backhanded compliment, only serve to amplify Victor's distress. He's already burdened by immense guilt and psychological trauma, and Krempe's words inadvertently highlight the very area of his life that has caused him so much pain. It underscores the lack of understanding and empathy Victor is surrounded by, apart from Clerval.
It's interesting that Clerval, who is so attuned to Victor's emotional state, has absolutely no interest in natural science. His focus completely shifts to Oriental languages. What do you think motivates this shift in Clerval, and how does Victor respond to it?
Well, Clerval's pursuit of Oriental languages, Persian, Arabic, Sanskrit, represents a move towards a completely different intellectual and cultural realm. He sees this as a path towards a fulfilling future, perhaps hinting at a desire for exploration and new perspectives.
Okay.
For Victor, engaging in these studies becomes a form of escapism. It's a way to distract himself from his haunting memories and his deep-seated aversion to his former scientific pursuits, offering him a temporary mental refuge.
But Victor's approach to these new studies is quite different from Clerval's, isn't it? He's not looking for a deep, scholarly understanding. It's more about finding temporary amusement and some solace in the literature itself. What does this difference in their approach tell you about their individual states of mind?
Exactly. Victor explicitly states that he reads these works merely to understand their literal meaning, not to engage in any critical analysis or achieve scholarly mastery.
Right, just surface level.
He finds a unique comfort in the often melancholic yet elevating nature of Oriental literature, which he contrasts with the heroic poetry of Greece and Rome. This highlights that Victor is seeking solace and distraction, while Clerval has a genuine intellectual curiosity and a goal in mind.
So their planned return to Geneva keeps getting pushed back, first by the end of autumn, then by the harsh winter weather making the roads too dangerous. How does Victor feel about this delay?
Victor is understandably frustrated and, well, bitter about the delays. He's longing to be reunited with his family, especially Elizabeth. However, his reluctance to leave Clerval alone in a foreign place, still recovering, also plays a significant role in his decision to postpone his departure. It's torn between his desire to go home and his loyalty to his friend, a common human dilemma.
But eventually, spring arrives, bringing with it the promise of finally returning home. Before they leave Ingolstadt, though, Henry suggests a walking tour around the area. What kind of impact does this have on Victor's well-being?
This walking tour proves to be transformative for Victor. The fresh air, the beauty of the natural world, and Clerval's constant cheerful companionship work wonders in lifting his spirits and improving his physical health. It's a powerful reminder of the restorative power of nature and human connection, something Victor had completely isolated himself from during his intense studies.
It's almost as if Clerval is reintroducing Victor to the simple joys of life he had forgotten. Elizabeth even mentions in her letter how Ernest enjoys being outdoors, and now Victor is experiencing that same revitalizing effect.
Exactly.
It really underscores how isolated Victor had become in his selfish pursuit, as he later calls it. What's the key takeaway here about Victor's past actions and his present recovery?
The key takeaway is the stark contrast between Victor's isolated, obsessive pursuit of knowledge and the healing power of nature and friendship. His selfish pursuit had cut him off from these vital elements, leading to his physical and psychological breakdown.
Yeah.
Clerval's friendship and the beauty of nature offer a temporary respite, showing the importance of balance in life and the potential consequences of unchecked ambition.
And Henry really goes out of his way to entertain Victor during this tour, doesn't he? He's sharing imaginative stories inspired by Persian and Arabic literature, reciting poetry, and engaging Victor in stimulating conversations. It sounds like a very enriching experience for both of them. How does this contribute to Victor's healing process?
Henry's efforts are crucial to Victor's recovery. By engaging his mind in healthy and creative ways, he's gently drawing Victor away from his dark thoughts and his obsessive focus on his past actions. The imaginative tales and intellectual discussions offer a positive distraction and help to rekindle Victor's appreciation for beauty and human connection, reminding us of the power of shared experiences in healing.
And the chapter concludes on this really optimistic note, with them returning to college amidst a lively scene of peasant dances and general happiness. Victor even says his own spirits were high. It's a fleeting moment of joy before he heads back to Geneva and, as we know, the potential horrors that await. What's the significance of ending the chapter on this seemingly positive note?
That seemingly positive ending creates a powerful dramatic irony. It offers a brief glimpse of hope and normalcy for Victor, suggesting that perhaps he can find his way back to a happier state.
Right, a false dawn almost.
Exactly. However, knowing what awaits him in Geneva, the unresolved consequences of his creation, this moment of joy is likely to be short-lived, making the impending tragedy even more poignant.
So, to bring it all together for you, this chapter is really pivotal. Elizabeth's letter provides crucial updates on Victor's family and the seemingly stable world he's left behind, while also introducing the important character of Justine and the social context of Geneva. We see Victor's profound psychological distress upon his return to academia, highlighting the terrible impact of his creation. And then the incredibly significant healing influence of Clerval and the beauty of nature offer him a temporary but vital escape from his inner turmoil.
Exactly. This chapter lays bare the stark contrast between the peaceful, predictable rhythms of life in Geneva and Victor's internal chaos. Elizabeth's detailed letter emphasizes the stability and familial love that Victor has jeopardized. His subsequent reactions to his academic environment underscore the deep psychological wounds he has sustained. But it also offers a glimmer of hope through Clerval's unwavering support and the restorative power of the natural world.
Which leads us to a final thought for you to consider after this deep dive. What does the stark contrast, the serene, predictable rhythm of family life and nature in Geneva versus Victor's inner turmoil and the looming consequences of his secret work suggest to you about the potential costs of pursuing knowledge without considering its impact on yourself and others?
That's a great question.
Reflect on how external stability can sometimes highlight internal unrest, prompting deeper questions about personal responsibility and the pursuit of ambition. Thanks for exploring this chapter with us.